Continuing our list, we're on part 2, starting with soft skill number 5. We are still on the personal skills. And skill number 5 is inquisitiveness. And this is from Ionos. This quote is them describing how they describe the person who already has the skill. This is how they do it. So, quote, as an inquisitive person, you have an inner desire to experience new things and to get to know the unknown. Finding out information is as appealing to you as finding out the interests of others that you've never really talked to before. Inquisitiveness does not always have positive connotations in our society. People who are too curious are often regarded as annoying. A healthy curiosity is an important motivation for people to seek new challenges and to explore previously unfamiliar territory. In the workplace, this means that you are interested in tasks and skills that initially have little or nothing to do with your job profile. Close quote. Inquisitiveness, this is the question asking. That's what inquisitiveness means. You're willing to ask questions. You're curious. You're wondering why things are how they are. You are a brain picker. You try to get to the bottom of stuff. You want to find out why people know what they know, how they know what they know, and if it's actually true. I am a naturally inquisitive person. I've had people describe me as a brain picker, a person who will just ask question after question. When somebody tells me some information and I don't know exactly how they came about it, I ask them, how do you know? How do you know that to be true? And this description that they gave here is absolutely right. That sometimes people get annoyed when you ask them, how do they know something to be true? Often because what they're telling you is some bullshit. They just decided that it's true. They can't explain how they know it's true because they can't prove it. So then they get mad because you're questioning them and they know it's going to expose their bullshit. So inquisitiveness is a key soft skill because it keeps you learning. See, the wise person knows that they know nothing. All right, this is Socrates. This is, was it Socrates? Socrates, maybe it was Aristotle, maybe it was Plato. I don't know. I get these Greek guys all mixed up. But it was one of them who was known as, I believe it was Socrates. He was known as, or widely regarded as, the wisest man in all the land. And he went around to go to find someone who was smarter than him. But what he found was everybody was so stuck in their knowledge, or at least what they considered to be knowledge. He realized that what made him so smart was the fact that he didn't believe he knew anything. He said, I know that I know nothing. His genius was in knowing nothing because he was always asking questions. This is why the Socratic method is not giving people the answers, but it's asking them questions so that they can come up with their own answers. Let them get their own insights. Any of you who is any kind of coach or mentor, you know this is one of the biggest aspects of being a good coach, is not giving people all the answers, but actually providing them with the right questions that they wouldn't know of without you. That's what that's the value, is the questions, so that they can come through with their own breakthroughs and it's their ideas so that they can become self-sufficient. An inquisitive person, and this is the part that they have bold in here on Ionos' website, an inner desire to experience new things. If you ever hear a person, or you have ever used the phrase, I am stuck in my ways, does the opposite of inquisitiveness. All right, you have no desire to experience new things. Whether that new thing be a new idea, whether it be new information, whether it be a new perspective, whether it be a new opinion, or a new action. These are all new things that your mind has to be open enough to be willing to experience. And here's what I know to be true. When people stop wanting to experience new things, again, whether ideas, opinions, perspectives, actions, any of these things, that's when they start to get old. You become an old person as soon as you get stuck in your ways and you don't want to experience anything new. You can be 25 and old. You can be 75 and young, as long as you keep your mind open. If you keep your mind open, you're reading, you're listening, you're asking questions, you're learning new things, you're seeing what other people and other generations are doing, you're keeping your mind fluid, you're allowing your imagination to be free, you can stay mentally young, even though physically, by relatively speaking, you'd be pretty old. That's what inquisitiveness does. It keeps you young. Finding out information to an inquisitive person is as appealing to them as finding out the interests of other people that you never really talked to before. You want to know why people feel how they feel. Why do they think the way that they think? Why do they look at the world the way that they look at the world? This is the way that you learn. This is how you learn new things, by asking questions and then shutting the hell up and letting other people talk. That's inquisitiveness. The best communicators out there are not the people who are the best orators, who give the best speeches, who are the best at putting words together. The best communicators are people who are best at listening after asking the best questions. Now, being able to speak and put words together is valuable, yes. But you learn the most. You can't learn while you're talking, as they say. You have one mouth, you got two ears. Or which means you should be listening as twice as much as you speak. Taking in twice as much as you, maybe even 4 times as much, because you got 2 eyes as well, as what you say. Maybe even 5 times as much, because you got a nose too. You get the point. A healthy curiosity is an important motivation for people to seek new challenges and to explore previously unfamiliar territory. When's the last time you explored some previously unfamiliar territory? When's the last time you read an article that you knew from the title was going to fly in the face of your beliefs? When's the last time you listened to someone talk who had a different opinion from you and you actually listened to hear what they were saying to try to understand why they have an opinion that's different from yours, other than them just being a complete idiot, that you could understand why they had that opinion? I'm going to let you think on that one for a minute. In the workplace, they say, inquisitiveness means you are interested in tasks that may have little or nothing to do with your job profile. In other words, you're willing to step outside of your role and do something that may not necessarily be your job. Why? Because you're an inquisitive person. This is the type of person who never ever uses the phrase, "That's not my job." You ever been somewhere and somebody said that? "That's not my job. That's not my department. I don't have anything to do with that. I don't know what that is." There are some businesses that you go in, I can't even think of which one specifically, but I've had this happen on both sides, where I'll go into a business and I'll ask one of the employees, I'll say, "Hey, can you tell me where I can find the paint?" or something like that, like a Home Depot or something like that. And the person will say, "Yeah, if you go to, we'll be standing in aisle 2, and they'll say, "Yeah, it's in aisle 12 in the back on the left." And they'll look towards aisle 12, and then they'll say, and I'll say, "Okay, thanks." And I'll start walking towards aisle 12, and they'll stay right where they are. But there are other businesses where you ask somebody, "Hey, where's the paint?" And they'll say, "Oh, well, it's in aisle 12 in the back on the left. Hey, let me walk you over there and show you where it is." And they might not even work in the paint department. They might work in the plant department, but they'll walk me over to the paint department. Why? Because they are taking, first of all, commitment and ownership of their job. Second of all, even though it's not their department, they're showing the ownership and the inquisitiveness. And again, they're not even asking the question. I'm the one who asked the question. But they're willing to do something that steps outside of the realm of what they are actually paid to do, which is selling plants. They're going to go try to sell me some paint. Why? Because this is the ownership aspect of it. They're doing something that is not in their job role profile, but they're going to do it anyway. This is inquisitiveness, even though they're technically not asking the question. You understand what I'm saying here? How inquisitive are you? When's the last time you just asked them questions? When's the last time you were just curious about things? I have many episodes here on the show where I've talked about questions. A lot of times I talk about bad questions, but there are some good questions. Episode 306, I talked about 3 questions to knowing yourself. Episode 291, the 3 questions of leadership. Episode number 76, what do I have to do is the wrong question. Episode 1741, just a month ago. Why asking the right question is more important than having the right answer. That's a very important episode. If you have not listened to that one, listen to it twice. Episode 1494, how to ask better questions. Episode 1059, the loser's question is, what should I do? And episode 1030, why you need to be challenged, questioned, and pushed. All of these things are important when it comes to asking questions. Understand something, people. I wrote a book called Ask Yourself a Better Question for a very simple reason. The quality of the questions determine the quality of the answers. If you ask yourself poor questions, you will give yourself poor answers. You will have a poor life. When the quality of your questions improve, the quality of your results will improve. So please pay attention to the questions you're asking yourself and understand you're always asking yourself questions. We call it thinking. You ask yourself a question, you give yourself an answer. If you're giving yourself poor answers because you're asking poor questions. If you want better answers, ask better questions. Go get my book called Ask Yourself a Better Question at workonyourgame.com.